Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Invisible Condition. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson. It's not all in your head, by the way. We created this show for you because we wanted everybody with an invisible condition, no matter what that condition is, to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you have a voice, you have a community, and you are not alone. To that end, I have an amazing guest today. Joshua Tullis is going to be with me today. You're going to love him. He was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when he was 12 years old. So since insulin dosing relies on a complex combination of factors and include, the amount of carbs, quality of food, lifestyle, physical activity, right? Josh is passionate about helping other people with diabetes take control of their lives through everyday disciplines. He lives in Georgia with his wife, Kayla, and his newborn son, Thompson. He enjoys reading, running, and races such as the Tough Mudder, and Spartan races, which just makes my head explode and makes me feel like I've been hit by a truck without even getting off this chair. So, so kudos, man. Josh is now building Soaring Diabetics, which is a brand devoted to helping and coaching people through the challenges of diabetes. I'm so excited for you to meet him. I'm going to bring him on right now. There we go. Welcome, Josh. Hey, hello.
How are you doing, Jeff? Thank you.
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for being here.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Absolutely. This is great. I only know a couple other people with type 1 diabetes. So this is going to be educational for me too. I probably know about this much of a subject that's, this big. And I have a feeling that there's a lot of people out there that are in the same boat. So this is going to be great. So being diagnosed with diabetes at such a young age, at 12, right?
Yes.
That had to have been tough. 12 years old, right? You're in junior high, right? And you're supposed to be able to eat an entire pizza in one sitting and and do all the things that junior high. I've got 3 kids, man, and they've all been through junior high already. And believe me, and I was in junior high once too. I did the same thing. So I can't imagine. So can you just tell us how you knew something was wrong and what led you to pursue that in the being diagnosed?
Oh, of course. Yes. So growing up, there were other problems, I guess you could say. I had a lot of stomach issues. Now I would refer to them as symptoms, getting closer and closer to being diagnosed.
Yeah.
So my mom and I, we just went through the hospitals like multiple times as like when I was younger, growing up, but a lot of doctor's visits trying to figure out like an underlying cause to these stomach issues. And a bunch of tests, a bunch of different situations and things coming up negative, and us just not knowing or not being sure what was going on. We worked our way to an endocrinologist, and they gave me a blood sugar meter so I could check my blood sugars just to see if this was, another test to see if, something could come of this.
Sure.
They gave it to us, and I would wake up in the mornings, check my blood sugars, and just, record my levels, check them in the afternoons as well. Didn't have to be as disciplined in the beginning because we weren't sure whether or not this was going to develop into anything. And, having history of type 1 diabetes in my family, my mother was aware of it. And so when we were going through this process, she would share with me like, hey, if this happens or if you get diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, like this is what it's about. You're going to have to take insulin shots. And like, we don't want that. Like, you don't want that type of lifestyle. Like, and especially like as a mother, you don't want that for your child.
Right.
And I remember we started continuing to check my blood sugars, and a few weeks went by and a few months went by, and my blood sugar started to slowly elevate. In the mornings, I would check them, and it would be in like around 120. And the endocrinologist was like, that's a good range for blood sugars, but they're gradually increasing. So they would slowly work up to the 150s, and then I would get into the 200s and then the 300s. And there was a span of 2 weeks where my blood sugar was in the 500s and 600s. I would check my blood sugar with my with my meter, and the meter would just say HI. It would say high. It was too high for the meter to read. And my mother and I were convinced that the meter was broke, that there was just, there's got to be something wrong. There's no way that my blood sugar is this high. There's no way that this has happened. And so once that, unfolded a little bit, and I remember that specific day I got home from school, walked in the house and checked my blood sugars. I want to say it was like in the 460s, 470s. And I felt fine. I didn't feel any different. There was no physical difference that I noticed, nor was there a mental difference that I could tell of any sort. So when we were checking and realizing these numbers were coming up, I was like, I'm not convinced. There's something else going on. So I went outside, just doing what, young boys do outside, just running around playing. And my mom at the time, she called the endocrinologist because she had called him previously, and they said, hey, if blood sugars are that high again, call us. You need to go to the hospital immediately. So I was outside. She called the endocrinologist. He said, take him to the hospital right now. So she called me inside, and I walked in there, and she was crying, and I was like, what's going on? Like, everything okay? Like, what's happening? And she was like, well, I need you to go, like, pack your bags. Like, we have to go to the hospital. And I'm like, well, why? Like, what's the issue? Because even with my blood sugars being that high, I had no physical, physically couldn't notice any difference. And I also saw the fear that she had regarding what a type 1 diagnosis consisted of. And without having those physical symptoms or physically feeling any different with my blood sugar being that high, I didn't have any fear in regards to it. I was like, okay, well, let's go. I went in there, packed my bags. We went to the hospital, and they ran a few tests specific to a type 1 diabetes diagnosis. And sure enough, the information came back, and I was there for 3 days. We kind of crammed just a bunch of information, just as much as we could absorb. They gave us information in packets of how to administer insulin, how to count carbs, and insulin to carb ratio, and they just sent us on our way. I mean, to an extent, but just seeing and it sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. But being 12 years old and seeing the fear that my mother had, it didn't impact, the fear didn't sit inside of me. I think realizing that she had that fear, like she had it for the both of us in a sense. And I was like, okay, I still feel fine. I feel healthy. Like I can be strong enough to tackle this. Like, just show me what I have to do and explain to me how it works. And that's the way that I remember my mindset being, like, when I reflect back and think about that.
Nice. I mean, that's a really good, especially at 12 years old, man. I got to say kudos, man, because that isn't a very mature attitude for a 12-year-old to have, to say, I mean, when stuff's happening that you don't know what's going on, it's really easy, especially at 12, to panic, right? And that's good job, man. Kudos to that. Kudos to 12-year-old Josh, man. That's pretty good. Well, let me just pause for a second and throw this out there. Anybody watching on any of the social media platforms that we're broadcasting on right now, anywhere that you're watching, if you have questions about anything regarding type 1 or type 2, all the type 1 especially, here's your guy right here. This is the man to ask. You've got him for the next 40 something minutes. So jump online and type out a question. If we don't get to it during the show, maybe we can get to it after, but we want to be able to help you. That's why we're here. That's why I brought him here, to be able to answer questions. So don't be shy. You don't have to put specifics or anything if you don't want to, but we want to be able to help. So, and you've got a great resource here. So please reach out. Okay. So speaking of type 1 and type 2, that was kind of a slip on my part, honestly, but just, there's probably a lot of people, and honestly, I was one of them for a long time. There's probably a lot of people in the audience that don't know, or maybe don't remember, the difference between type 1 diabetes and type 2. Can you explain that for us?
Yes. Yeah, of course. So I guess the basics in there, and to not get too deep into the medical like terminology and things.
Sure.
So type 1 diabetes is also referred to as juvenile diabetes. It's more so commonly diagnosed in children at a younger age. I believe just as you're growing and your body's developing, all those symptoms and it may not catch up to you until like you're a little bit older. I think that's why they refer to it as juvenile diabetes. And then type 2 diabetes is, well, hold on, let me backtrack. Type 1 diabetes, your pancreas does not create insulin like whatsoever.
Oh.
And with type 2 diabetes, it more so happens later in life. It's where your pancreas cannot create enough insulin to keep up with it may be the nutritional lifestyle that you have, or perhaps like just lack of having exercise, which leads to insulin resistance. And so your pancreas cannot continue to produce enough insulin to keep up. And there are medications to supplement for that as well. But with type 1 diabetes, it's irreversible. Your pancreas just does not work whatsoever. You essentially have to be your own pancreas when you administer insulin.
Oof. Okay. So you may as well not have a pancreas if you're type 1, is what you're basically saying.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. You know what? There's certain parts of the body. There's certain of those little organs that you go, what the heck does that do anyway? Yeah. Right? Like the appendix. I've known so many people that have had that removed. It's like, what does it even do? Right? Same thing with the pancreas. I've never really consciously thought of that. So it's good to know.
Yeah, I obviously didn't either. It was not anything that was important to me prior to this to having diabetes either.
I mean, why would it be? Yeah, I mean, a normal kid running around doing whatever you want, and then yeah,
of course,
sure. All right. Well, no, thank you for that. That's So aside from the challenges with blood sugar, which is obviously a thing, with diabetes in general, what other aspects of diabetes would you call invisible?
Blood sugar is the biggest thing. I would also say the aspects of insulin sensitivity and along with insulin resistant, because depending on your lifestyle, that directly impacts your insulin sensitivity. Mm-hmm. And your insulin sensitivity determines the amount of insulin that you have to give yourself. So you may have a certain insulin to carb ratio. If I eat 15 grams of carbohydrates, then I have to take 1 unit of insulin. But if that's just my normal baseline. That's just me naturally going throughout my day, whether it be work, appointments, this and that. But when I start physically training for a race of some sort, or I love lifting weights and running and that type of thing. So when I'm intensely training for a set goal, my insulin sensitivity increases. Therefore, the amount of insulin that I take decreases. And a lot of that comes with trial and error. It's hard to just know, but I don't stay at the insulin to carb ratio doesn't necessarily stay at 1 to 15 when I'm intense into training for a race of some sort. Like I may have to lower it to 1 to 10 just to reduce that amount of insulin, just because that affects the body as well. And
sure,
it's you don't want to continue to give yourself more insulin and then your blood sugar goes low, and then it's just you end up on a roller coaster of sorts, and it's just not it physically takes a toll on your body.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's probably stuff that everybody's doing that's taking a toll on their body. They just don't know it. And those of us with invisible conditions, no matter what they are, I feel like having talked to a lot of them over the last year or so on this show. I mean, we pay attention to our bodies more. I mean, people without a condition like anything, they just it's not even on their radar. Yeah. But it has to be for us, right?
Yeah. So yeah, I say that having type 1 diabetes in a sense is it gives you a superpower, because what you just said is so factual. Like I know when my blood sugar is high, I can feel when it's high, I can feel when it's low, and I can also feel when I don't feel good.
Yeah.
I know what that feels like. And I also know what it feels like when I feel good, when I can physically perform to the level that I need to in regards to the goal that I'm trying to do, or a run or of some sort.
Yeah.
But I also realize that there's so many people who don't realize that they don't feel good, or they think that that may just be part of that's just how they feel. That's part of age of some sort, or that may be due to an injury in the past, or something. But they don't realize that, hey, I can actually feel better than I feel now. This doesn't have to be my reality. And I think that that's a great thing about some of those invisible conditions, is that you do have to pay attention to how you feel, because most of the time that is your only indicator.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And depending on the condition, it can get dangerous if you don't, right? So it can really be a dangerous thing if you neglect that. So yeah, that's a big deal. Well, hey, Josh, this seems like a good spot for a little break. We're gonna go to a commercial just for a couple of minutes, and then we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk more about your story, more about, how people can can relate to what you're going through. And then we're going to talk about soaring diabetics, which is your organization. And we're going to dive into that a little bit in the second segment. So everybody stick around. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back in just a couple of minutes.
Hi, this is Clara Capano, your host for Women Winning Their Way, where we talk about how you can create success all on your terms. Join us Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Limelight Network here on E360 TV.
All right. Here we go, everybody. I wanted to just pause for a second and talk to you about The Porch, which is a coffee space in Portland, Oregon, that was created for people to show up and be seen. Honestly, it is an amazing space right in the heart of Portland, and Brett and Molly Pryor are doing a phenomenal job running this amazing ministry. It's a nonprofit that provides training and opportunities to those who, sometimes get overlooked by normal society, right? That don't fit in, that you look at and maybe you go to the other side of the room there if they come in the coffee shop, right? Well, that's this coffee shop. It's awesome. It's absolutely amazing. And coffee is a vessel, honestly, that crosses all bounds, and that was the design behind The Porch. And so they strive to preserve dignity through the act of generous hospitality, which is awesome, and which builds relationships, and that's what it's all about, and builds community. And so you, by the way, anywhere in the country can be part of that story and part of that community wherever you live. And you see behind me here, I've got a couple of bags. My favorite right now is the Kenya. If you're a coffee nerd like I am, telling you what, yeah, Kenya. I've never had the finishing taste after I drink coffee of butter, but that one, yeah, good stuff. So if you like coffee, you're gonna love The Porch. they roast it fresh. They ship it to anywhere in the country. So check it out. There's a QR code, make it super easy for you to access where you need to go to get that on its way to you. So just wanted to make sure that you had no excuse but to try the coffee. So it's phenomenal. So anyway, all right. Thank you very much, and let's bring Josh back and hit this thing, man. Hit the ground running. Yeah, man. I so far I'm pretty impressed, man. I mean, even as a 12-year-old, you were handling it really, really well, and as you've gotten grown up and you're married and you've got a new little baby and type 1 can be rough if you're single, not to mention, married, and you're entering into the sleep deprivation of phase of life now, right? With the newborn. So,
oh yeah, oh, yeah, for sure.
So, how is that going? Like, how is that? Are you seeing something? I mean, is there something specific that you're noticing in that respect, or?
I haven't necessarily noticed anything specific from, let's say, like the sleep deprivation in a sense. Although my lifestyle has completely changed since our child was born. Like,
wow.
Work-life relationship, like all of those things. Like, my lifestyle has never been the way it currently is. Not just because of obviously having a child, but my current like work situation, and none of that is the same. So
yeah,
those bring challenges themselves. Having to deal with that, just because I'm, no longer in the routine that I was in, that I had become accustomed to in regards to managing my blood sugar.
Mm-hmm.
My routine has completely changed. The timing of my meals changed. Like you said, the sleep deprivation has changed. I'm up a lot more in the middle of the night and in the mornings as well.
Yeah.
So overall, just due to the lifestyle change, it has brought forth challenges.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, honestly, talk about that change a little bit, because before your little boy was born, you were working in one industry, and now you're doing something totally different. What were you doing before, and what are you doing now?
Correct. So before he was born, leading up to it, I was working in sales, working for a alcohol sales distributor, in sales for them. So I was getting up and driving, going to different accounts during the day, and just coming back home, long commute, just full day of like sales, just sales things, and take my lunch to work and have my water, just all of those things that were in my backpack that I would take with me were just like right there beside me, already pre-planned for the day that I was going to consume. And I knew, in a sense, just depending on how much insulin I would take, depending on that kind of thing. And just depending on, like, I knew my activity level at work, all of those things. I was very in tune with that. And when our son was born, just due to the way that health insurance works out, which is having type 1 diabetes, health insurance is something that you need. The way that worked out, and my wife having that through her job, which is a lot higher quality of health insurance.
Nice.
I left my current job that I was working at in sales to be home with our son, which is when I started to kick off the soaring diabetics, in a sense. It's just, I had that opportunity that I was home with him, that I could pour into the soaring diabetics, that my passion, that I could bring it together in a uniform fashion and be able to share it with other people. So nice. I went from being away from the house 8-9 hours a day, all day, Monday through Friday, to being home for the most part, throughout Monday through Friday for the most part, just the physical activity level, and plus having a newborn as well. Everything that my wife went back to work, everything that I'm doing now, he's with me. He's right there, either on the couch, on the bed, in my arms, that type of thing as well. So
I love it. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, with our kids are older now. I mean, my oldest daughter is 20, my son is 16, and my youngest daughter is 14. So they're all in high school and beyond. But everybody remembers that newborn stage, man. Everybody remembers it, and it's so fun. And All I can say is don't blink. Don't blink or he'll be driving. It's so fun though. But I'm actually kind of excited to hear you talk about soaring diabetics, because that's something you can do anywhere, right? Like, it doesn't matter. Your son could be right there. You could be talking. How do you talk a little more about that? How are you helping people with that?
Okay, so we are in. I mean, I say we. I'm in the beginning phase of this of starting the soaring diabetics. This is my passion. It's been on my heart. It's been on my mind. I feel like I've been led to this throughout the past couple of years, and I just allow excuses to not fully push me into it. And so now, obviously, having this opportunity is when I just fully surrendered, and I was like, I'm going to go all in with this as much as I can. So my main goal and objective is just to be able to share with people and teach people, in a sense, that just because you have type 1 diabetes, just because you have all these obstacles in your life, all these things that impact your life, impact your health, if you drink caffeine, or if you eat a different type of carb, a different type of sugar that it has in it, is going to affect your blood sugar differently.
Yeah.
Regardless of that, you can still live a quality life. You can still have abundance and energy and have things to look forward to in your life, that you shouldn't have to live in fear, that you shouldn't have to not be able to participate in things, not be able to eat this dessert because you have type 1 diabetes. Like, right. You can do all of these things with diabetes. You can live a completely normal life with type 1 diabetes. It just requires a little bit more attention, a little bit more focus, which in a sense, I think is beneficial. It takes me back to where I said, like, it's a superpower in a sense. Like, if you didn't have type 1 diabetes, I use this as an example. If you didn't have diabetes and you go to, let's say, Thanksgiving or Christmas, and you go, there's like so many wonderful and amazing dishes. You can just dive into all of those dishes without even thinking twice about it. If you don't have diabetes, the one thing you may be thinking about is, did I like this one or did I not like that one? But having type 1 diabetes, you have to know what's in that dish. You have to know what you're consuming, the makeup of the food within that dish, because you have to compensate for that in regards to taking insulin. So that extra level of awareness that you have to have, I look at it personally as a blessing, because I say this as well, is that when it comes to living life with type 1 diabetes, that we all should pursue a healthy lifestyle, and not just pursue a lifestyle to manage our diabetes, because pursuing that healthy lifestyle, our diabetes is going to follow, in a sense, along a healthy track as well.
Yeah. No, it's true. Well, and it's kind of like, as you were saying that, the example of boundary, this will be kids too, it's raising a family. It all kind of goes together, this analogy. But when you have boundaries, built in, it's almost freeing. It's, kids will say, no, man, that's restricting. I can't do that. I can't do that. Mm-hmm. But honestly, it's freeing, because you're safe within those boundaries. You know that if you stay within those boundaries, you can go anywhere you want inside those boundaries, and you are good to go. You don't have to worry about, in the example of diabetes, if you go outside those boundaries, your blood sugar spike. It could cause all kinds of problems. But if you stay within those boundaries, you can do anything you want within those boundaries, right?
Yeah, to an extent, yes, sir. Yeah, and that's the thing, is that you're never going to be able to hone in on it 100%, because diabetes is not as much of a formula-based disease as diabetes is when it comes to taking insulin, and you're never going to be able to get it 100% spot on, that this formula works 100% of the time, because there's so many variables that go into it. But living within those boundaries, like you say, you can get as close to 100% as you're willing to work and to put the effort in to get there. So it is, yes, in a sense, it gives you a higher level of confidence going into those situations, because situations of unknown, because you have done this background work, you have established this baseline. So when you're thrown into that environment, you have more confidence that you can compensate for this meal or for this dessert, whatever that may be.
Nice. Yeah, totally. And well, so I think we talked about. I mentioned it in your intro. You are this is. I'm glad you balance me out, man. You're a runner. You're a runner, and I don't usually run unless I'm being chased by something big.
Yes.
So some people are runners, some people aren't, right?
Yeah.
But you are obviously an avid runner. How do you use your the Tough Mudder and the Spartan races and stuff like that? Do you go in there to or will you, I guess maybe since you're just starting out, will that be an avenue for raising awareness of type 1 and of your organization?
I would say yes, in the sense of the biggest thing that I want to share through the Soaring Diabetics is that we learn and we lead by example. So the biggest thing that I want to share is that I'm not going to sit here and tell you what you can do or what you can't do having diabetes. Like, I will show you that running a half marathon Spartan race is like, it's possible. Like, you can do it. And if that's not your goal and it's less than that, then you can accomplish that as well. If it's more than that, you can accomplish that as well. Like you can get there. It just takes time to break down those steps to fundamentally structure it in an approachable way. So yes, to an extent, yes, that will be an avenue to share and just to break down barriers. Like, this is another thing with like type 1 diabetes, is that there's a lot of fear in a sense because there is so much unknown. There is unknown of how your body is going to react.
Right.
Last year, it was actually beginning of this year, beginning of 2023, I ran. It was the first Spartan race that I had ran. It was a half marathon, and I wear a CGM. It's a Dexcom, which continuously monitors your blood sugar.
Okay.
So it connects to your phone, so you can check your blood sugar on your phone. You can see your levels. It notifies you if you're going high or if you're going low. So that also allows you to technology.
How handy is that, right?
It is.
Holy
yes. Cow. That's just one aspect of the technology. They go into the pumps that administer insulin for you, more so than having to use the pens, or if you're real old school, taking syringes. So going into the race, I had a fanny pack. I had these gel packs in there just to sustain my blood sugar, because all they have is water stations. They don't have Gatorade stations. They're not handing out snacks mid race, and you're back in the woods. Like, you're running 13.1 miles in the woods, and you're essentially by yourself. There are people around you, but the resources that you need, you should bring with you in a sense. Yeah. So I had that fanny pack full of things, and the Dexcom connects to my phone, so I had my phone double bagged in a plastic bag just so I could see on my Apple Watch my blood sugars. That way, while I'm running, I could just glance down and see if I'm in range, if I'm still doing good, or if I'm dropping, I could eat a little gel pack of some sorts. So that was, those are actionable steps that we take, that it is possible to accomplish these races, to put yourself in these environments. And so, yes, I would say that is a large thing to raise awareness.
Yeah. I mean, and that's huge, because there are so many people with type 1, and I mean, not even just diabetes. I mean, there's so many people that have a variety of conditions and co-conditions, that go with some of them, that they think, oh, well, that's it for me. I'm done. I'm going to sit in a chair the rest of my life, or go to, I may as well just check myself in somewhere now, but that's not true. You can do so many things. You just have to know yourself, know your body, know your condition, and not be an idiot, basically.
Yeah. I honestly think yes, or yeah, I agree. And it comes with, depending on what position you're in, with your willingness to learn and to push yourself, to step outside of that comfort zone in a controlled environment. I use that as an example a lot, is pushing yourself in a controlled environment. So if you're, let's say, someone who doesn't have control of your diabetes, I would not encourage you to go run a race of some sorts. But when I say that you can still do that, and I speak on the controlled environment, what I mean is that you can take a fanny pack with you. You can put snacks in there. You can put a Gatorade in your hand, or a Powerade, and then you can jog up and down your driveway Like you're at home, you're in your comfortable environment, but you're still physically pushing yourself. If your blood sugar starts to drop, you have a Powerade in your hand, a Gatorade, you have snacks, you can walk back in the house. If you have, spouses inside, just anybody, like friend there as well. Like you can be in a controlled environment to push yourself to overcome these boundaries. You have to be willing to do that, and you have to want to work towards that. And I remember little kind of backstory about how that happened, or how I believe I came to that over the past couple of years. Just I didn't realize it until then, just journaling about back when I was younger and did first get diagnosed. I used to get mad at myself when my blood sugar was high, like mad at my body, like what did I do wrong? Like why are you going high? And my mom, instead of me just taking insulin to bring my blood sugar down, she would make me go run on the treadmill. She'd make me drink water, run on the treadmill, to just, there are outside factors that impact your blood sugar. And you don't just have to sit there and continuously stack insulin, get physical, pursue a healthy lifestyle. And she made me do that. She would make me run. I used to run laps around the house. She'd sit on the front porch. She'd turn on the back porch light and the front porch light, and I would run laps around the house. And that showed me that the more discipline that you have when it comes to your physical activity, the more that's going to benefit you with overcoming those challenges that you may face with diabetes, and the management as well. It largely impacts that.
Well, that and it sounds like, I mean, there's a lot of conditions out there that people say, you have to take this, or you have to take that, or you have to, maybe, you have to, there's all these interventions that you have to, but sometimes, sometimes you could just go run laps.
Yeah.
You don't have to pop a pill. You don't have to, do anything sometimes you do. Not, there are some that is the only way to, to do it. And I understand. And sometimes insulin is, you got to do it. But yeah, the running, I love that she went there though. That was like, okay, outside.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And I don't think she understood at the time what she was doing. And I didn't understand at the time what she was doing. It just had progressed over the years because I have a love for fitness and lifting weights and all of that, playing sports. And I honestly think that her showing me and putting me in that position at a young age showed me that, hey, just because you have this disease doesn't mean that you can't be physical. Doesn't mean that you can't, challenge yourself like that. And it was that influence that she had on me. And I think that goes into, what do we allow to influence us? Is it benefiting us? Is it hindering us towards our progress? What is that influence that we are allowing within our lives?
Right. That is so true. Because that can affect you if you think negatively about whatever condition you happen to have, it's going to affect you. It's just physiological, so it really, in that respect, it really doesn't matter what condition you're dealing with. Just, you've got to have the right mindset,
Yeah,
so,
correct.
Yeah.
And I'll say another thing on that kind of similar topic as well is, last year when my wife and I got married and our insurances joined together, health insurance is joined.
Yeah.
Health insurance is complicated. It is so annoying just dealing with health insurance companies. They try to change your medication on you, and it's annoying sometimes. But anyway, so we filled out all the paperwork, got everything sent in to to get on the same health insurance together. And although we had everything done in time, there was something they had misfiled. They filed something incorrectly. So I went the whole month of October without health insurance.
Oh, geez.
And I had insulin. I had enough insulin, which you would think would be enough insulin, that would last you for, I think it was like 4 or 5 weeks.
Sure.
And that was another thing, is that I knew at the time that depending on my physical activity level, depending on the types of food that I ate, incorporating fasting, into living life with type 1 diabetes and the meals that you eat, I realized that I can extend the life of my insulin because I can mitigate in what I'm eating, and I can manage my blood sugars accordingly just through physical activity, the morning fasting, eating higher proteins, less carbs, and reduce the amount of insulin that I was taking. So I didn't have that. Oh, I don't have health insurance. Like I'm panicking. Like I have all my supplies, but I still have to have it for like this sense of safety and security in a sense.
Yeah.
I knew it was coming. I didn't know the date that it was coming, but I also knew that we just had to take it one day at a time. Like there are actionable steps that you could take just one day at a time to kind of keep you focused and keep you working towards that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. It's true. And ultimately, your body better than anybody else, right? So, I mean, we always know our own body better than any doctor or any, medical person. So if you know that you can do it and you can regulate that, it's a beautiful thing. So, yeah, that's fantastic. Well, I tell you what, we got one more break we're going to go to right now. And after that, we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about again, how to get in touch with you so that people can reach out, which is important. And then we're also going to talk about hope, which is a very important subject. So we're going to talk about that on the other side of the break. Everybody stick around. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a couple of minutes.
Hi, I'm Sarah Stockham, and I'm host of Simply Sarah. Join me Thursdays at 3 p.m. Pacific on the Achieve TV network for the best energetic tools to elevate your amazing life right here on E360 TV.
Welcome back, everybody. All right. So, man, so after everything that you being diagnosed at 12, going through, all the things and getting married. Congratulations, by the way. You're still a newlywed, man. You just got married. When did you get married?
Last year. So we just passed our November 19th was our year mark.
All right. Happy anniversary, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome. And your little boy is how old again?
He will be 4 months, December 18th.
That is awesome. Oh, so, okay. All of that, everything, diabetes and all the stuff and all the learning and all the crazy and how do you, on hard days, how do you find hope?
When you ask like hope, when you say, how do you find hope? I think of what gives you hope,
right?
In a sense, is that, and the first thing that I can relate it to would be, like religiously in a sense, like I have hope in life after death, like believing in God, that hope is secured there because, based on like what the Bible tells you, the Bible is what gives you hope. That message and believing is what gives you hope. Mm-hmm. So in a sense, when I'm in my life situation, what gives me hope with, diabetes and family is the fact that I know the steps that I can take to manage my diabetes. I know the results to an extent that will yield. And that is what drives the hope is knowing those actionable steps that you can work towards, because hope within itself, like, is not an actionable step. Like, you have hope, but if you're just sitting here hoping and not doing anything about it, or not, helping yourself, get there, I think that's what it is that gives me that hope, is the relationship with my wife, just the way that we connect, and what we pour into our child, even at a young age, just knowing what it is that we're going to invest in him and invest in our relationship. Those actionable steps of, we don't know exactly what they're going to yield, but we know the direction of which that we can work towards to generate that hope for the future for us.
I love it. Well, and as a believer, you know who holds your future anyway. So it's a beautiful thing, right? That's awesome. I love it. So along that same line, when you have a challenging day, whether it's because you got half an hour of sleep last night because your boy wouldn't let you get any more, or you had a rough day with the management of the diabetes, or you, whatever hit the fan that day. What are you, about those challenges, what are you thankful for?
Thankful for, honestly, the things that we take for granted. That's been a big thing in our life lately, is that I'm going to get mad that my blood sugars are high, or I'm getting mad that I've been roller coastering with my blood sugars high and low all day long. But then I sit back and I think, like I do have this disease, but God also instilled the grit and the fortitude to persevere the disease. So, and I also have health insurance. I have this medication. I'm upset because I didn't sleep much last night, like you were saying, like with a newborn, but like, how much more, like, what brings you more joy and thankfulness than having a healthy child that gets to keep you up at night? And I think it's realizing the little things that we take for granted and we overlook so often. And I'm just as guilty of it.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, honestly, my kids are probably sick of me saying this, but I don't even remember where I heard it, but your attitude is the only thing you have 100% control over.
Yeah.
Right. That's it. So you don't have control over what happens to you. You only have control over how you respond to it, not react, how you respond to it. So so that's good. That's awesome. So how can people reach you if people are I know you said you're still kind of working on it and everything, but you've got something in place, and people will probably, they want to hear more about it. So how do people reach you?
So you can, I guess just if you're reaching out, then it would be, our email would be soaringdiabetics@gmail.com. That's our current email address. And the biggest thing right now is me just being able to put out certain forms of content. So the biggest thing would be on Instagram. If you could look up Soaring Diabetics, that's our page, and that's just me putting out and just sharing information. I try to do it on a daily basis, because just to bring that awareness and to realize that there's so many aspects of diabetes. There's so much go into it that is like, it's there, and you can overcome it in a sense. Nice.
Well, and we're going to, by the way, everybody, and that, yes, 100%. I love that. And I want people to be able to reach out to you. And what we're going to do is, by the way, I know it's not on the screen right now, but when as this is broadcast, it's going to have, you can see, on E360 TV, where you go there, if that's where you're watching, there will be a spot on there where they'll have like his summary about, tell you a little bit about him, about Josh, and then we'll have all those links right down there. So you can just look down there and access that, and then and reach out to him and take advantage of what he's doing. So, and for those who might just be starting that journey, like they just found out and said, "Oh man, seriously, one more thing, right? Now I got to deal with this. What would you, if you had somebody face to face with you right now, what would you tell them in that first part? That first.
I love that question because that's the one thing that I go back to the most. I would say be aware of who you allow to influence you. Be aware of who you're allowing to speak into your life. What are you allowing them to speak into your life? Is it going to be good for you? Is it going to hold you back? Are they giving you limitations? Are they building you up, like allowing you and helping you to see that this is not something that's going to hold you back? Like, you're going to have to increase your knowledge. You're going to have to increase your time. But when you increase your time and your knowledge, it's going to yield better results for you ultimately. Yeah. So I would say get in contact with the right people and allow the right people to speak into your life, and don't just listen to everything that people tell you about diabetes, or don't just, live by the first thing that you Google when you Google type 1 diabetes. Like it's so like detrimental, and it can be, but it's also, there's just as much of a positive aspect of it as well.
Nice. I love it. We got about a minute or a minute and a half left. Is there any upcoming projects you've got coming up that you want to talk about?
Nothing necessarily specific. Like I said, we are in the beginning stages of like Soaring Diabetics, so I'm continuing to build and expand and see what that looks like and see the direction of which that we want to take it. So the most consistent posting is done on Instagram, and any updates that, things coming up in the future, documenting, how to run races, how to set big goals, all that will be shared on there as well. Awesome. Anything will be shared on there coming forth as well.
I love it. Yeah, that's great. And yeah, just be sure to just go down to the show notes, and you'll be able to reach out anytime, to Josh, past this show. I mean, this will be broadcast on several social media outlets and things. So you'll be able to find information for him, in many, many places. And so I encourage you to do so and to reach out and just educate, get educated. And if you know somebody that is in that situation, that they're just finding out or they're having trouble or whatever, point them in the direction, point them to this show, point them to Josh. So, Josh, thank you so much for being here. We're out of time, but I feel like we need to do this again. So we'll talk later about that, but I feel like there's more to this story, and especially as you expand your organization, Soaring Diabetics, I'm sure there'll be more to tell. And so I can't wait to have you back on. But thank you so much for being here.
Yes, Jeff, thank you very much. It's been an honor. I've genuinely enjoyed conversation and speaking with you. So once again, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, everybody, here is the deal. First of all, Happy New Year. It's coming up, man. We're like right there, man. 2024 is nipping at our heels. So be safe. Have a safe, happy New Year's Eve. Have a blast. Be safe. Get home safe. And I'm probably going to stay home myself, honestly. I don't usually go far for New Year's anymore. But everybody have a fun New Year's Eve. Have an amazing first part of 2024. And if you have an episode that you particularly connected with, please like it, share it, subscribe to the YouTube channel or the Facebook group or on LinkedIn or wherever you saw it, and share it, because if it's your favorite, it's probably somebody else's too. So yeah. And beyond that, I thank you for being here, and we will see you next year on Tuesday, January 2nd of 2024. So have an amazing day, and we will see you next time.